Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited about this week's video because although I said I wasn't going to review any more cameras, DJI only went and released this thing, the DJI Osmo Nano. Now as you know, I've been looking for a point of view camera that I can mount on my chest and go out and show you what I'm doing when I'm taking photographs. So let's see if this is the thing that's going to do that. But one of the things I need to consider is, what is the ecosystem like on this? Because ecosystems are incredibly important. They're the interface between your images and what you want to do artistically. And will this fall in line with the drones and the handhelds and the action cameras? Well, that remains to be seen. But surely something this small is just a toy. It can't do all the things that all the other cameras can do. Or can it? So if you've been following my channel for any length of time, you know I've been in an endless search to try and find an action camera or a 360 camera that I can use as a photographer to do point of view, behind the scenes shots, and something that's dead easy to use. Now you also might remember I've tried the Osmo 360 and the Insta360 X5, and I gave both of them the thumbs down and immediately sold them. So what are we using today? Well, I guess it's no surprise because you've seen the thumbnail for the video, but we're giving the DJI Osmo Nano a shot at this today. And I must admit, I'm quite excited about this because it's so small, it's so easy to use, and it's going to go straight into the computer without any of that keyframe nonsense that you need with a 360 camera. But is it what it's cracked up to be? Or is it just another fad, and should we be waiting for the Osmo Action 6? Let's find out. So I'm shooting at 4K, 30 frames per second. I've got the DJI Mic 2, using that for the audio rather than the onboard audio. And I don't have a selfie stick, but that's not really a problem because it's so light, I'm just holding it in my hand. So what does the image look like? The sensor size is 1/1.3, so it's not quite as sharp as the Osmo Pocket 3, but it still should be good, and I believe it's the same sensor that they're using in the Osmo Action 5 Pro. The fact that this thing is so small, that's nothing short of incredible, because the size of this camera is about the size of my thumb, and I don't have big thumbs. So what I'm doing just now is one of the things that makes this a really flexible system, and it also highlights one of the issues that I've already run into. So the unit itself comes in two parts. It comes in the camera, which is you, and it comes in this bottom part, which has a ridiculous name, and I'll put it up on the screen. But basically, it's the screen. And what's really good about this is you should be able to put the camera wherever you want, and if I want to check if I'm in frame, I can look at the back of the screen and see that. But this is where we hit the first stumbling block. If I'm using the DJI Mic 2 and I've got the camera disconnected from the base unit, I can't see anything on it just now. It's only giving me menu options and a warning. So if I disconnected the mic, I'd be able to see exactly what you can see. But still, it's handy, and I'm fairly sure they can fix that in a firmware update, because this has the potential to be absolutely awesome. And one of those major things is I don't need to use the Mimo app once they get this sorted, because I just use the back of the screen instead of having to fumble for my phone, unlocking my phone, face sensor or passcode, then Mimo needs to log in and then reconnect. This will be instant, and for me, that could be a game changer. So whilst it's not a proper gimbal like the Osmo Pocket 3, it does use Rocksteady 3.0, and things like going up and down stairs, as I am just now, it really handles that very well indeed. There is a dedicated night mode, and whilst it isn't night time yet, I am going through some really light and some really dark areas just now. So how's it handling? I do have it on auto exposure, so it should be changing, and you should still be able to see my face. If you're getting more serious about it, you will want to pick your exposure, and DJI do sell a set of ND filters for this, so that if you're out on a really bright day, you can keep control of that. So the camera connects to the bottom part using DJI's magnetic click system. And it's very, very easy to use. You just hold in the two sides, pull the thing off, but it magnetically orientates itself into the right position. And the camera works no matter which way you're pointing it. At the moment, I've got the camera pointing forward, but I've got the screen pointing back to me, so I can see exactly what you see, which again, helps me frame it. If I want to then turn around and face myself, I can pop the camera off, turn it round. It's not quite as easy as using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 where you triple tap the joystick and it turns itself round, but it's still not really that much of a hassle. So at the start of the video I talked about ecosystems, and I am well versed in DJI's ecosystem, and again when I've taken this out, The menus are exactly where I expect them to be. I can set my frame rates, change it from 4K to 1080p, although why would you? I can set the exposure, the colour profile. I know where all of that is. I know if I want to retrieve a bit of footage and have a look to see if it's okay, I know where that is as well. Now, I'm not saying DJI's products are by far the best. What I am saying is, because I've used them for so long, I know how their ecosystem works, and that makes the learning curve so much easier. So if you're somebody that likes to shoot reels or shorts, then the great news is to get from landscape into portrait orientation doesn't involve digging around menus and selecting it. All you have to do is rotate the camera and that's you there. It's super simple, and to get back, that's it. I just reverse it. Absolutely piece of cake. So here's a good test for the dynamic range, which is 13.5 stops, and that's nothing short of incredible. It can even take stills up to 32 megapixels. Now, it's not going to replace my Canon, but if I'm stuck and I'm in a pinch, then I'm certainly going to be able to capture the scene, as you can see. Another feature of it is that it comes with a magnetic lanyard that you put over your head, round your neck, and tuck it in behind your t-shirt. I've got that on just now, and what that's done is it now means that I'm hands-free. So if I'm out with my camera and I want to take some shots, I can show the person what I'm doing, what my settings are, and how I'm framing my shot. And as you all know, that was one of the key things I was looking for when I bought the Osmo 360 and the Insta360 X5. Neither of those could do that for me in the way that I wanted it. This is so much easier. And not only that, because I've got it now magnetically attached to the centre of my chest, I feel as if I'm Tony Stark. Battery life is something else that we need to talk about. Because it's such a small camera, then they can't fit a massively huge battery in there. But what I found is when I'm shooting at 4K and 30 frames per second, I'm getting about 45 minutes if I'm only using the top camera. If I attach it to the bottom unit and the screen, which has its own battery in there too, I'm getting somewhere around about 2 hours, which again is incredible for the size of the package. But in addition to that, it has a USB port on the bottom screen, and when I'm driving in the car, I just connect my cable and I can get to 80% charge within 20 minutes. So I'm never going to be running out of space. But that's the next thing that's important, because there's two models of this: the onboard 64GB version or the onboard 128GB version. Which one should you buy? Did I mention at any point that this thing's magnetic? Because what a difference that makes. So here we go. So easy to set up. But let's talk about which memory size you should go for. Now, if you're anything like me, I regularly forget to bring my micro SD cards. So to have that extra 64GB of onboard storage is a game changer for me. I didn't even bring a micro SD with me. I'm just using what I've got on the camera, because 128 gigs when I'm shooting at 4K 30, the occasional time lapse, that should be enough for most of my videos. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're using this for the action part of it, you've got it in the front of your motorbike and you're going out for the day, then you're going to want to bring a micro SD card. Because whilst it records onto the camera itself, when you pop in the micro SD, you can transfer it over that way and back up your footage. But for me, a photographer, the 128 is going to be plenty big for me. Did I mention it's magnets? Did I mention that it's also waterproof? The camera itself, if you detach it from the base unit, you can take that down to 10 meters and it's going to still work fine. But the base unit itself, that's only showerproof. So if you're out in the rain, it should be okay, but don't make the mistake of taking both parts of the camera into the swimming pool or into the sea, because it's not going to like that. But as with everything, it's not without its faults, and there are a couple of things that I've noticed in the first week of using it that I would definitely like to see changed. Some of it might be able to be done in a firmware update, like I've already mentioned, the fact that when you've got the DJI Mic 2 connected to the unit, when you separate them, you don't get to see what's on the screen. So the only other way about that is to put a screen on the back of the main camera itself, but it's so small, it's not really going to help you any. The other thing is, I am going to buy a selfie stick for it, because whilst it was dead easy to hold in my hand today, there's just something about the uniformity of holding it like that. But what I don't like is that to connect that to DJI selfie stick, I need to buy an adapter, and the adapter is just a small piece of plastic and it costs £34. I can buy a selfie stick with an adapter for £36 for the Action 5 Pro. So I don't know what's going on there. By the time I've bought both of them, I'm going to be up near £70. And I think DJI can do a little bit better than that. So all of that said, it's a great little unit. It's not without its faults, as I've mentioned, but it does all the things that I want it to do as a photographer. I can set it up in my car and it doesn't have that horrible gimbal sway when you go round a corner and you lose focus like it happens with the Osmo Pocket 3. It's small enough that it's discreet, but it also means that your hands are free to do other stuff. It really doesn't get in the way, and that's what I was looking for. With the Osmo 360 or the Insta360 X5, it wasn't as easy as that. And again, the whole editing process for both of those cameras once you're finished and you get home is nothing short of laborious. With this, I'm going to connect a USB-C and it's basically going to work as a thumb drive, and I'll download my footage and then I can grade it because I'm shooting in D-Log. Oh, and before I go, one last thing that I think is great is when you use the DJI Mic 2, you can trigger the camera from that, so I don't need to come out of frame. I can just start and stop by using this button here. That is something that you can't explain how good it is. It just means that you can set your shot up, be miles away from your camera, and you can still get the video. So that's another great one. So apart from the lanyard, there are a few other accessories in the box, and one of the most important ones is the sucker cup, because I've now got that mounted onto my windscreen. Up until now I've just been using it as a sort of a tripod, but I've got it mounted. It's a great setup for inside the car, but we're going to go for a drive and we're going to test the Rocksteady to see how well it works. So let's go. Thanks for making it this far, guys, but I wanted to finish with some closing thoughts, because although I was out in the field and I was really impressed with the camera, when I started editing it and putting this video together, a couple of new thoughts popped into my head. So one of the tips that I would give you is when you're trying to expose your image, try and expose a little bit more to the right, because you'll see here, the footage get very grainy. Now it is under really testing conditions. I'm severely backlit, I've shot a little bit too dark, and I've tried to boost the mids in my software, and you can see the grain on my face. Would I consider using this for vlogging? Absolutely. The footage isn't as sharp as the Pocket 3, and I will probably still use that, but for point of view footage, and if I'm in a pinch and I don't have my Pocket 3, then it's entirely usable, and for that, DJI should definitely be commended. I also found that the footage wasn't quite as flexible in post as some of my other cameras. But that said, DJI's conversion LUT for the Osmo Nano is really good, and it's a one-click solution to get you almost to where you need to be. Now in the footage that I've shown throughout, I've thrown some LUTs on top of it, I've played about with the colour grading just to see how it would hold up, and to my eye I think it looks really good. But overall, is it a solid purchase? Well, for a camera that's less than £300, even just looking at the stills I took in the video, I thought it was incredible. It's really fun to use, it's super intuitive, and if DJI can fix some of the issues in the firmware that I mentioned throughout the video, then I really think they're onto a winner here. So I'm super excited because I've now got my chest mount camera, I can get out in the field, and I can start showing you the point of view videos that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. If you're still on the fence and you're thinking about a Pocket 3 or an Insta360 X5, then I would watch this video here, because I do a direct comparison between the two and you can see for yourself which one wins out in that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.